Hello and welcome to No Rest for the Weekend presents Indie Film Reviews. I'm Jason Godby. Writer-director Kevin Smith's first film, Clerks, premiered at the Angelica Film Center in 1994 before being picked up by Miramax later that year at the Sundance Film Festival. Since then, he's evolved into a multi-hyphenate artist, becoming a podcast host, a showrunner, and a comedian. Upon the rock of Clerks, Smith built his church. Long before Marvel created a film continuity that would become the most successful franchise in film history, there was the Askewniverse. As an avid comic book fan, Kevin Smith applied comic book sensibilities to his films. Named after his company View Askew Productions, the Askewniverse would include Smith's subsequent films Mallrats, Chasing Amy, Dogma, and Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, all of which would feature the characters of Jay and Silent Bob, played by Jason Mewes and Smith. After selling Clerks, he arranged to keep the rights to the Jay and Silent Bob characters, which sometimes act as a kind of Greek chorus, or in the case of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, the protagonists. Each of the films would reference the previous ones. This continuity would culminate in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, in which Jay and Bob travel to Hollywood to try to stop a movie being made about Bluntman and Chronic, the characters based on them created by the characters Holden and Banky in the film Chasing Amy. And that is just the tip of the meta iceberg. He would make 7 more feature films, returning to the Askewniverse with Clerks 2. He experimented with other genres, attempting to make more mainstream fare like Jersey Girl, Zack and Miri Make a Porno, and Cop Out. He tried his hand at drama with Red State and attempted a midnight movie with Tusk. He would later return to his comedy roots when he went Canadian with Yoga Hosers. All of these films were met with varying degrees of box office and critical success. Always one to take his fate in his own hands, Smith began taking his films out on tour. He started doing road shows, taking them right to the fans. He was also able to work on small budgets, and with the roadshow, he was able to make back his money and then some, giving him the freedom to make just about any kind of movie he wanted. These films didn't always win critics over, but through the years, Smith built a loyal fan base that would follow him through his various incarnations. It's hard to talk about Kevin Smith the filmmaker without mentioning Kevin Smith the brand. He's made himself an industry: comic book shops, merchandise, podcasts, live shows, a host for IMDb, and numerous appearances as the prince of pop culture on talk shows all over the world. He somehow went from indie filmmaker to public persona, from the guy who made Clerks to, "Hey man, it's me, Kevin Smith." In 2018, during a taping of his comedy special, Silent But Deadly, Smith suffered a near-fatal heart attack. Before he was out of the hospital, he reached out to fans via social media. Once he was able, he took the heart attack story on tour while promoting the special and endearing himself to a whole new audience and reaffirming the love of fans who had been there since the beginning. For his latest project, Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, Smith teamed with Legion M, the world's first fan-owned production company. In 2019, I spoke with the president of Legion M at New York Comic-Con.
So we started working with Kevin Smith back when Stan Lee was alive, and we did a number of projects with Stan Lee that had Kevin involved because they were very close friends. And so we had the opportunity to meet Kevin. He genuinely is one of the nicest guys in Hollywood. You know, he's genuine, he's honest, he's a fan himself, he is a man of the people. If Stan Lee was the king of pop culture, Kevin Smith is the prince, and he is a prince. And anyway, so we also know from our community, we're constantly polling people like, hey, if we had the chance, what director would you want us to work with? And, you know, Guillermo del Toro, J.J. Abrams, Kevin Smith was always one of the top names on the list. And so when we had the opportunity to get involved with Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, we jumped at it.
It's been 26 years since writer-director Kevin Smith burst onto the indie film scene with his debut film, Clerks. In Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, he returns to the Askewniverse with callbacks and characters from his filmography. Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, Jason Lee, Brian O'Halloran, and Joey Lauren Adams all reprise their roles from various Askewniverse projects. Jason Mewes and Kevin Smith reprised their role as the titular Jay and Bob. Jay and Silent Bob Reboot is just that, a reboot/sequel of 2001's Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, with a plot that's essentially the same. Jay and Bob go on a cross-country road trip to stop a movie about their comic book character likenesses, Blunt Man and Chronic, from being made, or in this case, rebooted. Along the way, Jay meets Millie, played by Harley Quinn Smith, the daughter he never knew he had, the mother of whom is Justice, who you'll remember as Shannon Elizabeth from the aforementioned Strike Back film. Jay and Bob agree to take Millie and her friend Soapy, played by Trishelle Edmond, along to Chronic Con in Hollywood. Similar to the first film, Jay and Silent Bob encounter a myriad of eccentric and fun characters on their journey, including Fred Armisen as their Uber driver, Molly Shannon as an airport worker, and Chris Jericho as a Klan leader. In fact, there are too many cameos to call out. It seems like Smith got everyone he's ever known or ever worked with to be in this movie. There's also the meta-narrative of Smith's exploration of his own mythos, and of course a great deal of fan service. It's a victory lap for a filmmaker who not only plays one of the titular characters, but also plays himself. He's running the bases, and we're all invited to high-five as he jogs on into home. Fans who have stuck around this long are rewarded with moments where they can say, "Oh, look, it's that character," or "Hey, I remember her." If you haven't seen the film, I won't spoil it, but all of your old favorites are back. The meta is strong with this one, complete with fourth-wall-breaking looks to camera. This is a reboot of a movie that was already really meta to begin with, and it knows it. At the heart of the movie is the Jay and Millie relationship, with Jay growing into the role of dad as they get to know each other. Through the vulgarity and immature humor, there's a sentimentality to this movie. The characters have grown up, even though they still curse like teenagers and say utterly absurd words like snoochy booches and snoogans. Kevin Smith has also grown as a filmmaker. Jay and Silent Bob Reboot is a more mature and technically sound film than the original. Smith moves the camera effectively, it's well edited, also by Smith, and well shot by cinematographer Yaron Levy. There's also some really good-looking art direction, set design, and effects. Even though when speaking about his work, Smith is often self-deprecating, we can see there's definitely a vision there. He's making the film he wants to make. The movie plays like a greatest hits album for Smith. It's a trip down memory lane filled with family and friends. Jay and Silent Bob Reboot is like his Avengers Endgame, in the sense that if you've never seen a Kevin Smith film, you won't get nearly as much out of it. Multiple viewings are required to pull out all the references to his movies, TV shows, comics, and to Smith's previous work. If you're a lifelong Kevin Smith fan, you've probably already seen this film. If you like it, it's definitely worth a rewatch. If you haven't yet seen Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, I would highly recommend visiting the other films in the Askewniverse lineup before seeing this one. For more content, visit NoRestForTheWeekendPodcast.com. Be sure to like and subscribe. And for Behind the Rabbit Productions, I'm Jason Godby. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.